Welcome, everybody, to Dallas Robotics Programming Group Robot Builders Night Virtual for December 10th. Tonight, we're going to do, as usual, a round robin and have a presentation or two. And then we're going to open it up to roundtable discussions and see if you can stump the club with any questions. So as normal, the calls, this meeting is recorded, the video and audio. So if you don't want to be seen or heard, keep your camera off and your microphone muted. With that, I guess we'll start off with Michael Ivison.
All righty. Mine is, let's see, present meetings. No. How do I, which one should I present? Screen one?
Usually entire screen.
Says
That's
meeting.
what I do.
Usually you share a screen.
Okay, I'm sharing the screen.
The only time that doesn't work is because it's scraping.
Let me take it off. Huh? Why am I having trouble?
We were seeing your screen there for a minute.
Here's screen one.
Not seeing anything. There we go.
Yeah, but is that me?
Yeah.
It's
You're
Wait,
saying
wait.
me at the screen? Okay.
Yeah.
I've got, it's not really robotic, but it is electronic. So I'll show you what happened was my wife has this. Y'all see that church?
Oh, yes.
Okay, it's got them lights and it doesn't do the.
Michael, you have to click on the window because we're just seeing an infinity window right now.
Okay, how do I?
So
Click on my. How about if I pin it? Would that be all right?
there you go. You got it.
Okay. Is it showing the whole screen?
Well,
Yeah.
right now it's showing the whole screen. Yeah. So if you just click on that one and make it full size, then that one will be the big one.
There you go.
Oh, it was all right like that. How about that?
There you go.
There we go.
All right, now let me. You know, this camera doesn't do that justice. But anyway, here's the deal. This is an old school church that my wife inherited from her mother, and these lights in here are fiber optic cables, and they do the color, turn the colors actually, but they're doing it with a color wheel. They got two color wheels. They got one in there for these lights, and then they've got one in there for this cross. But when we got it, my point is, when we got it, there was a Christmas tree in there, I think. So anyway, it's missing now. And then the lights went out. So I tried to fix it. And I discovered that this church, they have the power supply from the wall, takes the 120 and takes it down to 12 volt AC. So this old church is AC.
Wow.
So that's pretty old, man. And what they do is they had a light bulb like under there that was like they had a light bulb that was like an old camera back in the old days, and it was a little bitty light bulb that was AC, 12 volt AC. So I bought a converter basically and put it on the back there, and then made a little 3D printed. There's an AC DC buck converter on there, and I put some big LEDs in there to do this. So this little church is running now off of it's running AC to run the color wheel, and then DC for the lighting now. So
Very nice.
was an interesting deal. And like I said, you can't hardly see it very well in the camera, but it is changing colors pretty good. But I thought that was interesting to take a retro, to take an old piece of electronics like that. But here's what they did. Somebody had to take all those fiber optics and stick in those holes and then route them down to the light bulb, which I thought was real interesting how they did that. So anyway, that's what I got. And I just wanted to share that. And anyway, I was real kind of proud that I got the thing. You know, I did turned it into DC and got these big LEDs, 2 LEDs in there that's lighting up that whole church in there. So, all right, that's all I got to show.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Mike, I assume the LEDs are white because you're still using the color wheel.
The color wheel, all I needed was a light, but they had an AC 12-volt AC light bulb in there, and I switched it with it. Let me show you this thing. And I bought these off of Amazon, which are 10 millimeter, which I can probably still see. These guys right here. These big old LEDs are real big. But what's cool about this, with a whole bag of them, I got 10 of them, is they've got the resistor already soldered on the wire. You don't have to worry about putting the resistor in there. You just plug it into the voltage. So,
Cool.
I bought them on Amazon, so a bag of them. And so now I got a bunch of LEDs I'll probably never use. It was only $8 for all that. So, and then I bought that converter that went on the back. I thought that was cool how I got that old church going. That, you know, it meant a whole lot to my wife because it was her mother's. And so you know what the saying is, don't you? When mama's happy, everybody's happy, right?
That's true.
All right, I'm good. That's all I wanted to share. It's almost robotic, you know, it's almost robotics, but
hey, we haven't had fiber optics on in a long time, so
yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but there was when we were doing training platforms as a kid. I mean, that was one of the ways. That was the newfangled way in the 70s to light stuff on a train platform, and they would sell little bundles of fiber, individual cut fiber that would fit on top of the end of a Christmas light bulb. So one bulb would light up all those different things, and then you just had to, like you say, poke them wherever you want to poke them.
That's the way they do that. And if you open up the bottom of that, and it looks like a bunch of spaghetti up in there. So
yeah.
I had to put that converter, that little buck converter, I guess, on the back because there was just too much of that. There wasn't enough room inside. So, and I 3D printed that cross, by the way, the other night. It was with my new printer, with my new high-speed printer. I printed that in 11 minutes from the time I pushed the go button. Nice. And it zeroed and the bed and everything, leveled the bed and everything in 11 minutes. Of course, that little cross is hollow on the inside, so there's no infill. Without 11 minutes to print that thing is pretty impressive in my book.
That's pretty good.
Actually, I know on my new printer, it was just similar to yours, Michael, except a different make. But the point is that by the time it gets finished with all of its vibration tests and leveling tests and all of that, the print itself is only at 1 or 2 minutes, but the rest of it is prep.
I was real proud of that printer because when I bought it here a few weeks ago, I was used to them old. I didn't realize how much. I don't keep up with that stuff. I didn't realize how fast I can print now because I'm still using one of them. Technology I'm using 5 years old or plus on my old printers, which is really slow compared to today's. So anyway, that's all I got.
Well, thanks, Michael.
You bet.
Next, we don't have anyone next on a robotic topic unless Doug has something.
Well, I'm assuming everybody here has access to Discord. I mean, we're all
Right.
I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen you, Bruce, or maybe I have.
I believe Bruce is on it. I think he joined last week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I was saying I did see you, Bruce. But anyway, Kareem had a big. I'm not going to call it an argument. That's not the right word.
Discussion.
A discussion. We had a discussion about something, and I think he's convinced me into making some changes to next year's RoboColumbus. It's an advanced topic, and I don't know if it's really going to affect very many people, but I'm going to change the rules this year to allow a person to retain autonomously gathered information from a previous run. So like if you run in run one, you can keep all the data that you generate from that and use it to run two. You know, like I say, it's actually more complicated, so I'm not sure how many people it's really going to affect, but trying to keep the thing as open to as many approaches as possible, except for breadcrumbing. I'm never going to let breadcrumbing happen. So there will be some changes. So keep your eyeballs on the rules. I'll announce it in here that we've made the changes. But that's pretty much it for this year, I think. Because I think Ted's idea with the tennis balls worked really well. We had people who actually tripped the tennis balls, and we had people who hit it and didn't trip the tennis balls. So all's good. So we'll be moving on that. Okay, that's pretty much it. I have been spending some time working on the cheap yellow displays. Getting very extremely frustrated with them. And the reason for that is I get them to almost work. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I can see stuff. But I can't replicate the original demonstration, which has a lot of really nice features, like it has a tab display and all sorts of widgets being used. I haven't been able to get LVGL, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I haven't got that one working as well as I'd want to yet. I'm using, let me turn on my video here. I'm using, this is one, and you can see it's running something, but it's supposed to be capacitive touch. And that's, I mean, I know that changed, but that's because of a timeout, not for me touching the screen. So this is a 3.5 inch display, which is really a nice size. The resolution, I think they claim 480 by 320, but I believe that they're interpolating. I think the native resolution is 320 by something. But anyway, I mean, I can tell you, looking at the image, that this is I don't know if you can see, it looks like it's probably going to be burnt. That's actually the Earth spinning. So, well, it's not spinning right now, but there it goes. It's spinning.
No idea.
Yeah. So it's it's a really nice, but what I wanted to do is get, and you might argue, well, okay, Doug, are you just chick-maggoting here? And the answer is probably, but I'm thinking more of a display on the robot itself using a chick magnet, because this has an ESP32 in it. So if I plug this one in here, you can see, I don't know if you can see it here, it goes through a little thing, but it's their stock. This is it's a stock demo for LVGL. And up at the top here, and again, it's all washed out, so I don't know how much you get it, but there's actually a tab menu up on the top, and it's pretty cool. They have graphs, they have pictures and buttons and all of the other stuff. But so the intent would be to have this guy on the robot and using the ESP32 to communicate to your chick magnet via ESP now, and still be pretty good. I don't know. I'm playing around with some ideas. I got one of these very inexpensively. I also got one that wasn't so expensive, but this is actually a HM. What do you call it when you plug it into a TV? HM something.
HDMI?
Yeah,
HDMI.
HDMI.
Yeah, it's screen. So it works really good with a Pi. Here's my expensive one, which comes in a case, so you can kind of see. I guess it would look
So
like
does that use the full-size HDMI connector or miniature?
Well, this one's just a standard. So you have to have
Okay.
a standard to a miniature case. But I want to say this one was about $25, and this guy was actually about 12. This particular unit has no touch, but you can get it with touch for a couple extra dollars. And this is all from AliExpress, which, by the way, has really gotten a lot better over the past couple of years. I mean, I'm getting this stuff within a week or two, and actually not having any problems with it. And when I've had a problem, I've been to go to Ali, and they get me a refund almost immediately. And with Mr. Trump coming in, you might want to think about looking at AliExpress now and see if there's anything there that you might want, because it'll be cheaper. This was something else that I picked up. And this comes in two versions. And I actually ran my robot that I was building for RoboColumbus on one of these things. Actually, the smaller of them. This is the bigger one. I can get the package open. Okay, so this is, I think, originally was made for very small RC cars that have differential, or they're made for boats. This is what it looks like. Okay, so here's what the motor contactors look like. You have, this is the power connector, and these are the two channels. Okay, and I want to, this is like the 5-volt one is like $4, and the 10 amp, did I say 5 volt? 5 amp one is about $10. That's per channel, and the 10 amp per channel is about $2 more. And it has on it something that frustrated me before RoboColumbus, was that there's a switch on here, and it allows you to run in two modes. One mode, I don't remember what they call it, but I think it's called differential mode. And what they do is you have either forward and reverse or left and right. Okay, so one will push against the other one. And then it has the other mode, which is 2 independent channels, which probably if you were using a PID loop, you'd want to be using that. And it's for brush motors. So you say, well, Doug, 5 amps, 10 amps, that's not going to run my RC motor. No, it probably won't, but it will run any Polo Lube gear motor that you have, because they're block rotor amperage is usually around 5 amps. So this is a cheap solution for a motor controller for Polo Lube type motors.
So what was it called again, Doug? I didn't hear what you said.
I say it's probably a cheap solution for Polo Lube type motors, 20, 37, and 25. The standard 3 motors that you have. Because the price difference is not that much, I went ahead and my original purchase was with the 5, and I used that, like I say, successfully in my outdoor rover, running it around on the grass, because it has 2 37 millimeter motors in it, gearhead motors, and it's running around really pretty good. But being Chinese and stuff like that, I said, well, for $1 more, I can get 10 amps. Well, heck, what the heck? I'll get the 10 amps. So this is what it is. And you might notice that the 2 channels, they don't bother to give you an additional power and ground. So this one is your power and ground. This one you just stick into the next channel signal. So it works great. I was really impressed of what you could get for just a couple of dollars. So anyway,
is it requiring you to stop it if you're going like from forward to reverse, like some of the car ECSs?
Okay, I'm not completely through all of that. Right, the way I did it was exactly what you said. I would stop it. Now, when it's running, you wouldn't necessarily see that because you don't need a big stop.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I stopped it for a second, and so you're going forward and reverse, and then you're stopping to turn. It's not real noticeable. Now, that being said, that's in the differential mode. If you go into put it into like a signal from a handgun, do it over RC channels, because those receivers start all the channels at the same time. They all poop and then they go out and drop at different intervals. If you do that, it doesn't need the delay in between it. Now, so I just haven't played with my motor driver coding. Hasn't figured out how I want to do that, because what I'm doing I'm taking the very easy way out of this. I'm using one of the 16 channel I2C Adafruit 16 channel servo channels thing to drive all of my motors and everything. So I just send them a signal and say adios, so that way I don't have to worry about encoding the PWM signals themselves. It's all handled by the servo, the I2C servo driver. So and you can stick other servos in it. So I don't know if I can show you that. So if you look at, I don't know, can you see that? So on the robot, you see this module here? Where my finger is. Okay. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. It's got a lot of wires in the way. That's the module I'm using. And since I'm using 2 adjacent channels, I just translated the headers to a 3x2 so that when I change them, they just pick them up, and they also make the wiring more reliable because I don't have 4 leads. I have, or 2 leads. I've actually reduced the 2 leads to 1 lead. And the one that's all by itself, since it's supported by the other 3, it's more robust connection. So anyway, that's a couple of things that I've been playing with this week. I'm, like I say, been working through some financial situations that I've been trying to get straight. So, and so with that being done, I would suggest though, now's a good time to take a look at AliExpress. I guarantee there's something on there that you want.
So many choices.
So many toys.
The problem I have is I have a few orders from AliExpress. They've all cleared customs, and I believe they're sitting in limbo with the postal strike in Canada.
Ooh, God, you guys, what's with your postal system? They charge you an arm and a leg, and now they're on strike?
I know, but nobody's ever gone postal at Canada Post.
You sure about that?
For the last several months, I've only been ordering from their choice program, and everything has been delivered by private courier. Everything has arrived within 9 or 10 days of order.
How much is that? How much is that, Tom?
Well, the choice program is free. There's no shipping cost. The parts that are under their choice program are generally comparable to the ones that are not, and may even be cheaper because the ones that are not part of the choice program, you generally are paying some postage on them. So I've been very happy with what I've been getting. Although I do have an agenda item I'll add later on counterfeits.
Okay. Yeah.
I've had a mix. Sorry, a mix of both choice and non-choice, and none of them showed up.
Whoa.
Okay.
Okay. I think there must be a guy on strike in between your 2 guys' house.
No, I think the couriers don't want to go to Espanola.
It's a remote area.
Yeah. Okay. I will say this, that shipping, if you're careful about how you're buying stuff from AliExpress, the shipping's free because all you have to have is more than $10. And if you have more than $10, it's free. So makes it, half the price of Amazon. You do have the little longer wait, but it's definitely worth it. So anyway, I'm going to.
Also, if you have Amazon Prime, you're still paying. I don't know what I think I'm paying $14 a month now.
Yeah.
Prime. So
Well,
you don't even have that with AliExpress, right? There's no.
Well, it depends on what you're buying at AliExpress, obviously. But a lot of times, if you're buying small modules and you spend $10 and you're careful about the vendor that you're buying from, it's usually free. But you could make bad choices and pay shipping on them. But
I have paid shipping on AliExpress after comparing prices.
Mhm.
And what was, $4 or $5 shipping, but parts showed up about 7 to 10 days later. And I've had other ones where I've had probably 3 or 4 things that one was just a blatantly wrong shipping tracking number.
Mhm.
And they said that it was delivered. And when I traced back on the delivery, it was somewhere in Quebec. So they scammed me on the order because they just duplicated the shipping address they used before. And AliExpress has been phenomenal for reversing all those costs.
Right. That's what I'm saying is I had something similar to that happen. And you can really tell a lot of times the scammers because something that is like, say, $15, $15, $15, 6. If you buy the 6 and it's not paying shipping, you're being scammed.
Yeah, that's obvious, but it's some of them were legitimate, good prices, legitimate, and it's just they decided not, for whatever reason, not to fulfill the order and just try to scam me.
Yeah, that's what the one I'm talking about. The other thing I ran into was it was a module that I had read otherwise that was no longer available, but they had one. You know what I mean? So I tried to get it, and it turned out to be bogus. But
That was the case with a couple of mine as well. It was stuff that was getting harder to find,
yeah.
and I ordered it, saying, "Okay, I'll get it before they're all gone."
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of the identical parts, 2 different vendors, I got scammed on.
Yeah. But I will say this: AliExpress made it all good, and I had I didn't lose any money. I lost time, but I didn't lose any money.
I've also had Amazon last week cancel 2 of my orders, and I believe it was because of the postal strike. That it was supposed to be fulfilled by Amazon, which usually shows up with one of their drivers. It's a third party, but it's one of their drivers. And I guess they were being shipped Canada Post, so they canceled the orders completely.
It's okay. I was had ordered 2 separate batteries, and or 2 separate orders of 2 batteries each, and so one came in, and I was kind of expecting the other one to show up. It just showed up today, and anyway, this box, it has a little, well, in the US it's a symbol that says that it's a lithium battery in it, and it always has to go ground transportation. So that's either FedEx, UPS. I don't know if the post office transports lithium. I know the other two will, but because I just got batteries from FedEx and UPS. Anyway, so this box has a battery symbol on it, and but it doesn't have the correct address on it. And I thought, well, that's weird. I thought, well, maybe they came together, and so I opened it up, and it's an iPod Air 2, and I looked up what the cost of those things are. It's between, like, I think $600 and $1,300, I guess, depending on the memory that you get in the thing. And it was like, damn, that's all right. Anyway, so I asked my wife about it, and she said, no, you've got to return it. They have, they can track those things down very closely, and
they would have found you, Ray.
Yeah, they would have. It used to be, I remember this old, U.S. Post Office commercial. It shows an Eskimo getting a fan, in his igloo, and it said, if you didn't order it, you can keep it, but that doesn't apply anymore. It's they want it back.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Unless you live in an igloo.
What's that?
Unless you live in an igloo.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so we had to send it back. That's the weird thing. FedEx will try to get you to bring the thing back. They don't want to send a truck out to pick up a misdelivered package. So you got to be kidding me. So at least in where we live, they won't send a truck out to pick it up. So
did you accept that, though? I mean, it's their error.
Well, my wife was going into town, and she figured
she was nice about it.
Yeah, so gonna pass by a FedEx location. So
I will say something that I have found. All lithium batteries breathe, and they will get slightly puffy, and I'm not talking about so puffy that they become dangerous, but just they'll be a little puffy. But I have found that if you buy your batteries with the hard cases, at least you don't see it.
Oh yeah.
And so it's I've been buying and plus most RC car people now that are serious about RCs, where their cars are flipping and doing all sorts of weird things, they will tell you that the hard cases are a lot safer, and and they don't really cost anymore. You're getting small batteries, but if you're getting 300 milliamp hour, or not 300, 3000, or above, you might as well get it in a hard case.
Yeah, both of these came in hard cases. That was the first for me. I haven't bought batteries in a while though, so I don't know how long they've been putting them in hard cases.
Yeah, it's been a while. But one of the things that they've done now, Ray, this year's have that. They used to have the battery balance cable was kind of like just a JST SH 1.25 millimeter thing, but now it's got like a slick handle, so to make it easier to put in and pull out, and they've improved it. It's nice.
Yeah, not these. It's the same. I don't know. Connectors. These. It works with my battery charger. So there's the balance cable.
Oh yeah, that's one of the new ones.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the old ones, man, they're just a little white tip on the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you got one of the new style.
Yeah, and that's
a lot easier.
It's in a hard case.
What's the name on that? I think I might even have that battery.
Oh, it's a ZEE. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Okay, let me see. What do I got over here?
It's a 5200 milliamp hour.
Okay, well this one's a 7200, but it's mine's an HRB. All of these things are from China, so you never. And you need to take a look at the reviews, because if you're buying them on Amazon, or even if you're not buying them on Amazon, if you look at the reviews, often there'll be somebody who's done an actual test on them to make sure that the battery's got what it says. Because my experience has been they tend to be somewhere about 10 to 15, maybe in the worst case 20% less than what they claim. But on the good ones, you can get it exactly what they claim.
Well, that's the other one. If you look at the package dimensions and compare it to name brand batteries, and if they're claiming to have 20% more power out of their battery or 10% more power out of their battery, well, what technology do they have that will give you that extra power in the same footprint?
Yeah. Well, the problem is, I'm sure over there in China that they have so many cell manufacturers that it really depends on which ones they're getting. And one of the things that I think you can tell, if you pick up a battery and it's lighter than the one that you had before, that's not a good sign. That's a bad sign. There should be. Otherwise, as they increase capacity, they should become heavier. Yeah, there you look at that one. There you go.
This one here is about 2/3 lighter than the lead acid counterpart.
Oh yeah, but
it doesn't have full size cells in it. I mean, there's an amusing thing for a while where you could find D size cells, but they had AAAs inside, so they had nothing, but they were in a D size package. Yeah. Has anybody tried this so-called nanotech high capacity discharge? These are Turnigy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's from Hobby King.
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe that's our Hobby King brand.
That's 2200 milliamps, 2.2.
Yeah, 2.2, and it's so 24 watt hours. So it's 25 to 50 capacity discharge. Pretty high discharge rate.
Yeah.
So these ones that are similar to what Ray had,
Oh, yeah.
EEE, and it has a 50C discharge on them.
Yeah.
I've had good luck with these, and on my tester, they come up as essentially good, and they meet the capacity that I've programmed in it.
Yeah, that's like I say, you do find that. Yeah, but I'm saying is, at the worst case, you'll find one that's, they'll claim it's, well, like that one I had, 7,200. Well, I would not be surprised that if I tested it, it would be 6,800. You know what I mean? Wouldn't quite get there, but I don't know. I'm not sure about, I'm sure I tested those because I had it reviewed, but the point of it is I can't remember what it was. So,
That's my experience as well. As new batteries I test on both of my testers generally come in a little lower than spec. And I'm not sure whether that might be because I'm very conservative in the cutoff voltage for testing.
yeah. That's a good thing. But so, Pat, that battery you showed us, what's the technology on it?
That one there is lithium iron phosphate.
Okay. So what is its C rating? Do you know? Does it give you one? That would be what I would be concerned about with that one.
That's a big one.
Yeah, because
So its C rating is 1C, and its discharge rating is 1C, and it's both of them are at 30 amps. So I could charge it at 30 amps, 12 volts, and I can discharge it at 30 amps, 12 volts.
Yeah.
So which met my criteria.
right. That's why it's so big, though, because
Yeah, this is
you had to have that capacity to get
30 amp hours. So is 30,000 milliamp hours.
Yeah. How long does that drive your robot? I'm just curious.
I haven't had it running yet, so that was for the big one, and it was to basically to try to make 3 runs out of it.
Measured in years. No.
So essentially, three runs drawing, let's say 10 amps for an hour to discharge the battery completely to do the competition.
Or he plans to never have to charge it. Saving on chargers.
Charge it once. And
Yeah. One other thing that I have been working with is, and I know Ray's worked with these before. I'm sure some of you other guys have worked too. Is and I'm going to go step away and get it, but it's these Power Wheel gearboxes.
oh yeah.
All right. Well, I found that I can take. I found on AliExpress I think it's 550, a 550 motor that's the right voltage, 3S, and has an encoder on it. And so what I do is I take the Power Wheel thing and undo it, slip out the motor, then I press off the pinion and press the pinion back onto this new motor. Okay, and then put it in. So now I've got Power Wheel modules with encoders, with quadrature encoders. So that's going to be one of my outdoor rover pursuits in the next year. So I'm actually probably going to field at least 2 robots next year. So I've got a whole bunch of ideas I want to try out. And I might even decide to go with I used to try to run Acriman, and now this year I had planned to do differential, and next year I'm planning to do differential as my primary, but I might actually, some of the work by David Steele has got me back interested in Autopilot, so I might even possibly run an Autopilot, and that would be an Acriman. So it'd be kind of, so I've got a lot of ideas. We'll see how it goes. Well,
Doug, can you put a link to your Power Wheels motors?
yeah, I'll have to. I'll have to dig it up because I did order it on Ali. Yeah, I should be able to find that pretty easy. Give me a second. I'll put it into chat.
Okay, great. Thank you. Doug, were you done with your topics?
Yeah, I was just rambling because we were in kind of like free talk. So
We're sort of rambling. Tom has joined the call. I don't know if Tom has anything to present tonight.
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. So back a few years ago, I bought a couple of Ublox GPS receivers, and that's what I've been using in my robot. I've gone through both of them because I had an antenna failure on one of them. So I thought I better order some more. So I ordered some more, and they came about a week ago. And I decided, because anything you get from AliExpress, it's wise to test. So I decided I better test them. So I have some interesting results, which I'm going to share. Let's pick the right window here. This one. I assume you can see that.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
So that's a couple of Ublox Neo 6Ms, or purported to be. The one on the right is a good one. That's one of the ones I bought a few years ago, of which I have two. They run just fine. The one on the left looks awfully familiar, but it's not a Neo. It's not a Ublox Neo 6M at all, even though it says it is. I placed these two things side by side as a result of the research I've done on this thing once I started to test it. There's a lot of small clues associated with the labeling on the Ublox supposed module that tend to suggest that it's a counterfeit. The labels on crooked, the red and the black icons are not as precise as they ought to be, as the Ublox versions are. The QR code is not programmed correctly, and the fonts that are used on various parts of the label are not correct. Even though they look like, and they're labeled like Ublox units, and they're on a printed circuit board that implies they are Ublox units, the one on the left is not. Now, a little bit more detail on the counterfeit one. You can power these up. They do contain a microprocessor. The microprocessor will talk to you, and when you look at its power on start messages, what you find out is it's not made by Ublox. It's made by a Chinese company called CASIC. And the equivalent module has a part number, which it itself identifies. And the module has an integrated circuit in it, which is a legitimate GPS module, this AT6558. It's legitimate. It's actually a GNSS module made in China. It supports 2 satellites in this version. This company makes 3 versions of this particular chip. One of them just does the Chinese satellites. The intermediate one, which is what this is, will do the US satellites and the Chinese satellites. Hence, I guess they figured they could get away calling it a Ublox US satellite unit. And they have another one which also adds the Russian satellites, which is not included here. So this thing kind of looks pretty good. And you can see that these are NMEA standard messages for a GNSS type GPS. So this thing, in theory, is a legitimate unit. It is not a Ublox Neo, and therefore the drivers I have don't work with it. They would need to be modified in order to work with this thing. It also doesn't support all the same functionality that a Ublox unit does. When you ask a legitimate Ublox unit for its version number, for example, then you get specific information. When you do the same thing with the Chinese counterfeit unit, then of course you get blanks. You just simply don't get this information back. There's a lot of other capability built into Ublox units that simply doesn't work with the Chinese units, of course. There are data sheets available for the chip and for the module, and I have both of them now, courtesy of people in some forums who have spent a lot more time looking at this than I do. The Chinese GPS unit is actually used in a small number of not well-known autopilots that are used with ArduPilot and things like that. So there are some drivers up on GitHub that support these things. The CASIC module, that is the GPS module, which they soldered onto the board that they designed for a Ublox unit, has the same pinout as the Ublox unit, which makes it an easy decision, I guess, for some Chinese assembler who can't get his hands on Ublox anymore to buy these things from a Chinese supplier and solder them on. They almost work. It turns out that the connections to the antenna are not correct based on a couple of forum entries that I've read. I took this thing outside in order to see whether it actually works. My apologies for the speckles. When I took my laptop outside, I hadn't realized there was so much dust on it. So the dust showed up way too well in the picture I took of the screen when I was outside. Basically, after a long, long time looking for satellites, this thing gets nothing. So there's no latitude and longitude information. Although you can see these are the legitimate kinds of NMEA messages you would expect to get from a GPS that simply couldn't see any satellites. So it just keeps chunking along there, trying to do its thing. I've gathered enough information here that I filed a request for refund with AliExpress. We'll see whether it goes through or not. I'll also see whether I can repair whatever the antenna connection is that's wrong. I haven't found any information on that yet. They appear to otherwise be reasonable GPS units. They're just not Neos, and I bought Neos. And I'm a little pissed that some guy would decide to label something else counterfeit and sell it to me. We'll
Hey,
see.
Tom?
Yep.
I've gone through this same thing before, but with Amazon.
Oh, really? Oh.
Almost every M6 on Amazon is fake.
And were you able to do anything with them?
Well, my understanding, yeah, they work. I mean, but what you can't do is you can't upgrade the software. You can't do, you can't use the UBX protocol. There's a couple other, some of them don't even work in, what's the name of that program? The Ublox program. I can't think of what the name of it is right now, but Center, something
Oh,
Center.
U-Center.
Yeah, U-Center. So some of them,
That's what this is here.
yeah, some of them won't even show up in U-Center. So, you know, plus there are other pretty nice. You see what happened is, my understanding is the Neo 6 and also I think the 8 too. I don't know about 7. Were licensed by certain Chinese companies. All right. And one of the things that they tend to do is not put any memory with it, any flash or anything. So they can't have the upgrades, so they can't have, you can't use some of the protocols. That's all. It's just because they didn't.
Did Doug just freeze?
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering if it was just me.
Yeah, the Neo 6 is not upgradable anyway. I have no idea whether this Chinese one is upgradable. I haven't bothered to read enough of the data sheet yet. It's quite long. So I'm at the point where I'm a little irritated, but also intrigued by whether I can make them work or not. But the first step is I'd really like to get something I understand. So I'd like to get my money back, and maybe I'll try again, or maybe I won't. We'll see. I need some more GPSs, though. I only have one operational one now.
When you originally
Yeah.
mentioned that it only received 2 satellites, I was wondering, it's pretty hard to get a position with just 2 satellites.
It receives 2 constellations.
That's better. Thank you.
The U.S. constellation and the Chinese constellation. Now, I don't think I've ever seen a Chinese satellite here, but maybe I have. I'd like it if I could receive Russian, but not this version.
I know I've tried several GPSs from Amazon and the 6 Ublox 6Ms, and I've had 0 luck trying to get onto satellites. And if I did, maybe after half an hour of, in the backyard, beautiful blue sky, There's got to be a satellite up there somewhere
Oh.
and not connecting to anything.
They were legitimate 6Ms?
No, I don't think so. They looked, when I
Ah.
went and looked, the indications, the stickers on them were actually, they did look like they were legitimate.
Like that?
Yeah, so they look like the one on the right.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that somebody may have put, and I remember using the U-Center software as well with it. But doesn't mean that, you know, the board was manufactured by them and the antenna soldered properly and everything else. So it was forever trying to connect. It did occasionally connect, but I didn't. So when I had this, I think it's an 8M I'm using on my robot now. It connects indoors.
Yeah, my 6Ms connect indoors. Down in my basement, they connect.
Yeah.
But the counterfeit ones don't do anything indoors or outdoors.
And a 9P is still well out of my price range. When they become $30, then it'll be time to consider.
Yeah, me too. And same thing with RTK. Someday I would love to have RTK, but it's way out of my price league for a hobby.
What do these modules cost you, Tom?
$5 Canadian each.
Oh, okay.
And good working or not working, they're $5. eBay or AliExpress, they're $5.
So you've had good ones out of eBay and AliExpress as well as bad ones?
The ones I bought 2 years ago were perfect. They were legitimate. That's the one on the right. I had 2 of those.
Okay.
One of the antennas failed, which is why I only have 1 now.
So the number on the board, GY-Neo and GY-GPS should have almost been a giveaway.
Well, no, it's not, Pat, because when you do the research on the forums,
Yeah.
what you find out is you're seeing both counterfeit and good ones using both of those product names.
Oh, really?
The product name is simply whoever assembled the printed circuit board. That's all it is. And chances are they had legitimate intent to design a printed circuit board, because you know how these guys, they don't just clone American stuff, they clone their own stuff, right? And just change the part number a little bit on the printed circuit board. So they probably had legitimate intentions to put the right part on, then they couldn't get them. So they looked around for a substitute. And the substitute is Chinese, and it's not the same thing. They may not even have known it wasn't the right thing. Who knows who put the counterfeit label on it?
Yeah, somebody, exactly.
Yep.
A counterfeiter got counterfeited.
Yep. And if you just plug this thing up to your PC over the serial interface, it kind of looks like it works. It just doesn't say it's a Neo.
Yeah.
It says it's a Classic. So, yeah, anyway, maybe they'll work, maybe they won't. We'll see. I have added a ground plane to my working Neo, and I managed to get some data collected from it this afternoon out of doors before it started to rain again. And the data looks better. So the ground plane does improve the reception of my legitimate Neo 6M. And I like that. So we'll see. I got to do some more testing, but it looks better.
So what was your ground plane? Was it I-10 or something?
I will show you a picture of it. Let me close this thing. Where's the close button? Here. Give me a second here and I will show you a picture.
I used an octagon box cover.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me present again here. And the window, and there it is. There. It's not pretty, but it works. Basically, I went to my scrap metal box and I found some metal parts, I think from an old CD drive. And I managed to get 2 4-inch circles cut out of one piece of sheet metal. So I cut a couple of them and mounted this thing on this platform that this is a 25 millimeter patch antenna, an active patch antenna. So I simply lifted it off the bracket it was on, stuck this thing underneath, and bolted the whole mess together. I still have one more thing to do. I have not connected the ground of the antenna to the ground plane yet. I just ran out of time. I wanted to get this thing tested before it rained again. But it still made an improvement, and it may get even better once I ground the ground plane itself to the
I
ground.
think it will.
Yeah. So anyway, it's going in the right direction, and that's good news.
Yeah.
So, Pat, were you talking about an electrical box plate?
Yeah, an octagon box plate cover is what I used. So I just found the center, punched a hole, and then I used I think a ball bearing and a piece of tube to countersink it a little bit so I could put a screw in it. And I made a wooden plug for the top of my PVC mast, and I screwed the cover down into the wood plug. And then the bottom of the GPS case is grounded. So when I metered it, and it is grounded to the ground connection, the common on the board, a very low resistance, at least with my multimeter. So I just basically, my antenna is tie wrapped into place.
Yeah. I approached it very similar, except I just went to Amazon and bought a 6-inch aluminum circle. I don't remember, it was a couple bucks. And this unit here was originally in a plastic case with a magnet on the back. Since I didn't want anything magnetic anywhere I didn't want to have magnets on my robot, I took the case out of the package, and like Pat said, the little bottom part of it that's like a steel cage is actually grounded, and I just grounded it to the ground plate. Now, because of the problems that I was having with getting a legit Neo, no matter what, I went ahead and bought them from SparkFun. SparkFun, and I actually are using M9s. They're not RTK M9s, but and they're about $60, so they're considerably more expensive than $5. But I got one as a Christmas gift, and and one I bought. So I like it. I like the one that allows you to have a little pigtail and plug it in. Though I do have one that has a built-in antenna. So those are probably the ones I would use in competition. But I do have a slew of other ones. I don't know where I got cut off before, but there's an M10. A little small M10 that's it's licensed by Ublox. It's made in China though, so it works, especially if you're going to use the NMEA protocol. I haven't tried it on the UBX, but it works fine with the standard protocol, and it has 10 samples per second, and it's set up, that's its default value, and its protocol is 110 115 whatever 200 serial, yeah, and or 155 200
No,
155.
yeah, whatever it is, that one, it works well. And they're very inexpensive. And I'm going to put that link because it does come with a nice little magnetometer on it. And that magnetometer is the one I've got. I've got two of them. And both of those magnetometers were pretty stable and seem to be reasonable quality. So I'll look it up and put that link on the chat.
I've been looking into reading up on ArduPilot and LibrePilot lately because I have an old autopilot module sitting around here that I want to try to use.
Yeah.
And when I read what these guys are doing with these various autonomous control systems, there are mention of several other Chinese branded GPSs, which sound very good. And I wondered if anyone here has used any of the legitimate Chinese brand GPSs.
I want to say that I messed around with one and it was fine, you know, but the thing you have to, you know, but if you ask me, you know, I'm biased. I like Ublox.
Yeah, me too. I love their U Center.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, and like I said, if you're going to compete, you know, having one really good GPS, and like I say, you might say $62 is too much, so that's fine. But this Chinese one I'm going to point, this M10, is pretty good too. And that's not, it might be, I don't know, I want to say $15. So I'll put it in there.
Three times better than the fake M6s, maybe.
Well, it is a GNSS. So and I don't think the Neo M6 is. I think it's just isn't it just a GPS?
Yes, it's just GPS, and it's not firmware upgradable either.
Yeah. So I want to say that the M6, you know, be quite honest, you know, in the United States, and I'm sure in Canada too, you know, GPS is going to give you the best coverage, but it is nice to have as many satellites as you can possibly have. And that's, so this M10 is a GNSS, and so
I have GNSS units here that I use for testing, and generally speaking, I might see one Russian satellite at a time that's strong enough to be used in the mix, but that's all. All the rest are U.S.
Yeah, I am interested. It'd be interesting to know what's, you know, if the Russian constellation is being essentially purposely degraded right now. I'd be interested because it used to be, you know, you could get quite a few from China, and
yeah. Like I say, in my testing, I've never seen a Chinese satellite, and frankly, based on what I've heard from a friend of mine who lives there in the winter, the Chinese GPS system is deliberately degraded by the Chinese government. So I don't know whether I trust it anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
maybe that's why my robot wouldn't go in a straight line.
If you are getting Chinese satellites, you might want to disable them. Tell it not to look there.
Yeah. Well, I think with the M8s and M9s, you can pretty much pick which constellations you're going to want to look at.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The U Center application tool is just an astonishing tool. The more I use it and the more I learn about it, the more impressed I am with it.
Yeah.
Except it doesn't know how to talk to Chinese clones.
Yeah. It's really nasty though. I mean, it's got the craziest interface that I've ever seen. You know, it looks like straight out of 1960. But anyway, like you say, it works. It's got some good capabilities.
The more I use it, the more I learn about it, and the more I like it.
Yeah. Well, the more you learn about your Ublox too, the more things you can change. Like I say, if you look, I would definitely say you should look at UBX protocol.
I have been, yes.
Yeah, because that'll allow you to tailor your messages just to what you want, and not have to worry about all of the wasted messages coming through.
But first, I'll have to get some real Ublox GPSs.
Yeah. Well, like I say, SparkFun is, you know, as far as I've seen, they're legit, and they're well worth it. But I will show you this one, this M10. I'll put it in a link.
Yeah, one of the neat things that I liked about the U Center, you can test other modules out with it. Like if you have a radio link between like base station and a rover, you can actually hook up the output of the receiver radio and see if you're actually getting RTCM3 messages. and it will display them on the screen. You know, whatever your update rate is. Mine was only once a second, so you could actually, you know, see all the different messages that were supposed to be sent. And actually, I think one of the messages was sent every 10 seconds. So, but a lot of them were sent every second. So, so I thought that was kind of neat. It's like, okay, it's working. You could tell right away.
Bruce, did you have a question?
Yeah, at some point I'd like to get the software. So,
Software for the GPS
no,
or just software in general?
I'd like to know if anybody is running ROS2, Humble, or Jazzy within a Docker container.
Okay, well, as soon as we're done with Tom's topic, we'll maybe
Yeah,
reach out.
Yeah, I'm certainly done now.
Okay, well then there's a question he had. If anyone is using ROS in a Docker container.
Yeah, Paul does routinely.
Yeah.
I think
So-
Harold has as well.
And Mike too.
Mike Williamson. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just looking at Articulated Robotics, and they have a set of video tutorials, and one of them is on creating dev containers with ROS.
Yeah, I've already seen that video. But I actually want to run it on either my my desktop system and then ultimately on my iPod.
When I took,
Okay, thank you.
when I took Paul's course beginning of this year, he walked us all through the process of setting up ROS inside Docker, ROS2 inside Docker. So we all got it working, but it's not something I could ever do on my own.
Well, I can definitely get ROS2 working, and then the next thing would be getting a disk drive node working. So yeah, I can get it. I can get the basic thing running. So, but somebody on Reddit says, "Oh, here I've got this. This is all working," and well, they're not doing it within a Docker container, and apparently there's something about their system that's configured differently than mine. And I tried to recreate it within a Docker container, and it would not work. So there's something particular about their system that they're not documenting as part of the installation process.
Well,
Okay, thank you.
okay. You have Bruce. You have access to Discord, right? You know, there's a topic in there. I want to say it's ROS topic. If you go back up in the ROS topic, you can see some information from Paul for his course. Have the link for his tutorial. It wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be an introduction and how to get working quick. So I don't know if it'd be helpful to you or not, but I don't know where other than those Discord where that is stored. It's on one of his private GitHubs, I believe. So you might be able to look at GitHub.
I'll definitely take a look.
Yeah, I want to say, I think his GitHub is under Paul Bashur. Let me check. And then the other one that might be was Mike was did a demo of how to do a minimalistic project in ROS2. Okay. And that was on one of our monthly meetings, and I'm not sure which one. I want to say May, but it may No, it wouldn't have been May because that's the Roborama.
Was that not in October?
Was it
Might have
October?
been.
Is it that long ago? I mean, that near? Okay.
I think it was. I think it was the meeting before the competition.
No, I
Or-
think
or-
it was August because I
Oh.
gave my presentation that same meeting. It was the August meeting.
Okay, it was August. Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
So that's a good set of videos to watch from the August meeting.
All right. Okay, I'm going to put a link to Paul's GitHub, and I'm not gonna. You'll have to look through it. He has some raw. He has one there which is called Raw Stalkers. So you'd have to look at that.
Yeah, I think Mike was saying that it ran very slow. I think he was running it on a Raspberry Pi Zero 2W or something.
Yeah, well, he was trying. He was kind of responding to a challenge. Was how could you show a minimal project that would work in ROS 2? And I want to. Do you guys remember what he was? He was a sensor. Which sensor he was using? I can't remember. But it was just like a one sensor. I want to say it was a ping or something like that. SR. Yeah, SOR4. And he had, like you said, I think he was running it on a 0, which he didn't recommend, by the way. He said you could do it, but it was using a 3 was a lot smarter. But anyway, he did that, and that's all of his coils and everything should be there on that meeting. So here's Paul's link. I don't know. So you guys said it was October?
No, August.
Just
August.
Okay. And you can search DPRG. Probably the easiest way is in Google and just say DPRG August meeting. Yeah, let's see what we get. Yeah, here it is. It's actually called Intro to CAD because his was actually add on to that particular one. Let's see. Well, I say that, but I don't see. You sure it was in August?
That's what Scott says. He presented that same day.
No, then it wasn't this one. It is in August. Hmm.
Then it would have been September at the latest.
Hmm.
Thought it was August though. Could have swore it was.
Yeah, that's where it is. How to debug with JTAG and
Yeah.
ROS on a Pi 0. Okay.
Yeah, Paul's stuff is for ROS Humble, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to do ROS Jazzy, which is
Okay.
the latest.
So
And then there'll be yet another ROS release in March.
okay, so okay, I'm gonna put that on there. So did you see that link? That's the one
Yes.
where he did his thing. And I believe if you go to that meeting, let me see if there's any links in there. He has a GitHub link in the meeting. If you go to that link there, he has a GitHub.
Yeah.
So but I mean, that's like, you got to remember, he was kind of doing something special. He was trying to show that ROS 2 could be used very simply. It's not, most of us look at the ROS and all the packages and we kind of go like tilt. So he's was trying to show a minimal situation. And anyway, it was a very good presentation.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Well, good question, Bruce. Thank you.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any more robot-related questions before we hit a non-related topic?
Oh.
Okay, going once, going twice. Carl, you're up.
Oh, did you notice I had something percolating in the background?
Oh,
All right.
you
So,
did mention that you had a non-robot thing, so.
Oh, I didn't. I mean, I've been distracted by non-robot-y things, but as it turns out, I think this could be kind of relevant. So, a little backstory. I'm on a kick on the moment for getting a bunch of old stuff working again, and one of them is an old car, 57 Roadster. But the one I was going to mention here now is it's got to do with electronics, so it could be handy. It might come in useful. So I'm resuscitating this old stereo setup in a vinyl record player, and trying to figure out the whole speaker situation, and amplifiers, and anyhow, I dusted off these old like PC speakers, these two and a subwoofer, and remarkably, of all that I have, they give the best sound of what I have at the moment. Except that this thing, the volume control is really scratchy. You know how they get all scratchy?
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in my quest, because I want to restore a 70s vintage Pioneer receiver at some point, my dad's receiver, I noticed the guys that have been doing it had found this product quite useful. So it's called DeoxIT by Craig Laboratories. I'll put links in the chat in a little bit. Has anybody ever seen this stuff before? I have to tell you, it is absolutely amazing. So I have two. They have a wide range of stuff. I'll give a brief tour here on the screen share, and I'll explain a little about what I understand. I'm not a chemistry guy, but from what I can tell, I'll explain a little. So this company, they have this wide range. Let me see, is it sharing it? There it is. They have this wide range of products, okay, and they all seem to be around. They all seem to be around different kinds of chemicals for electronics and related things. And they even have like a vinyl record cleaner, I just noticed. But the ones I've just shown you are, let's start over here. So this one is made, this is the one I used tonight. And it's made for conductive plastics and carbon controls. So you know how you get resistors and stuff and membrane switches, and they get all goopy after a while, and they oxidize? Well, you spray just a little bit of this stuff on, and it kind of melts the oxidation. You wipe it around, and it's clean as a bell, clean as can be.
No.
I actually used it on on the resistors, the potentiometer for a leaf blower, electric leaf blower. Tom has something he shows.
Yeah, I had something too.
You guys, let me finish, and then we'll go around the table, because this is an interesting sharing, I think. I mean, this stuff is friggin' pricey, but it just works. And then they have this other one. I got a slightly different. They sell it in different cans. I got one that has this fancy spray thing like this, so it's a lot more expensive. But anyhow, this one is made for different kinds of metals, and they have a similar one that's also made for metals, but specifically for gold. And these have somehow they talk about like 5% of this whatever it is, this D5 formula, but they also sell this formula in full strength. Where'd that go? This stuff. And it's a contact cleaner, but also a lubricant. And some of this stuff will like seal. So once you put it down, it cleans off the oxidation, it lubricates, and then it kind of seals it to slow down oxidation, I guess, or contamination in the future. So it seems to be really good for cleaning up contacts and the like. Okay, I'll put my links in and shut up. And I think Tom and Ray, you guys had some cans you were pulling out pretty quickly there.
Yeah. This one's from MG Chemicals, and it's Electrosolve contact cleaner. And see the old Tanner sticker right there on the.
Yeah.
It's from Tanner's. It's like okay, so the ingredients, it sounds like it's, don't have it near a flame, that's for sure.
Oh, don't breathe it, don't look at it.
Methyl 2-pentane, 1,1-difluoroethane, methyl 3-pentane, diethyl 2,3-butane, dimethyl 2,2-butane, and N-hexane. So basically it's gasoline in a can or something.
That's what's nice with Amazon is you can buy all this stuff that's been banned everywhere.
Yeah, right. May cause all kinds of cancer. No guarantees there.
I'm just reading through the chemicals here and thinking the same thing. I've had this thing for 30 years probably because I use so little of it. And now I'm reading the contents and saying they're probably all banned now.
Yeah.
It's made by a company called Tech Spray out of Amarillo, Texas. So, and I've had it a long time. It's it kind of came home with me one day from work.
Yeah.
It's the old 5-finger discount.
I only have one I use, and it's to remove solder flux.
God, does it work, Pat? Because I tell you what, I don't have a good defluxing solution. So what is it?
I bought it. It's about a quart size. I think it was a liter or just under a liter, and it's an MG product.
Okay.
And I don't. Maybe I could find it on Amazon here. In my history.
Yeah, I've been using isopropyl, and it's not very good.
Isopropyl did nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one I got is, let me go see if I can put it in a friendlier link.
Yeah, I'm afraid the only flux cleaner I have is the good old Archer brand from Radio Shack. So
That's old.
I gotta tell you though, I just sprayed it in the knob because I couldn't get it apart without breaking it. So I just popped the plastic off, sprayed it in there, and then blew it out with some compressed air. And I tried it on a meeting sound. No more scratchy. It's just magic stuff.
So Doug, I found some. I'll put a link here, but it's in Canada and it's currently unavailable.
Yeah, I just heard in the United States they just banned a whole new slew of chemicals. The EPA came out with a list. I don't know where I saw it, but
Oh yeah, red dye, number 40 or whatever it is.
this is solvents.
Oh,
And-
solvents.
And so that means that all our glues and everything are going to have to be reformulated and. But I guess, if it keeps people from getting cancer, that's a good thing.
I grew up on red dye. What's wrong with it?
Yeah, I know. So I think I've got some hot dogs in there with some good old red dye, number 3 in there. So
Number 3, I forgot which number it was.
yeah.
Heavy use in Fruit Loops, right?
Well, that's
Well, that's
I think-
what they went after. I think it's dye yellow, number 2. That I think they were really had the hots for. But red 3 has been under. People have been looking to get rid of it for years.
it was probably lethal for the kind of worm Kennedy has in his head, so he's gonna ban it.
Yeah.
So Doug, I posted a link to the MG product that I'm using.
Okay, cool.
And it seems to work. I could not find an up-to-date link on it, but at least you can get the info from the bottle on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, let's see. Was that a Canadian link? Yep, sure.
It was Amazon.ca. It's a Canadian
here's-
link.
They list an alternative that's in stock here. There you go. If I copied it right. No, I might have fat fingered it.
I've got something there, a flux remover.
Yeah, okay. They got it. They got it in the United States still.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
how
I've
do you
had-
apply it? Do you just use a Q-tip and run it over it, or?
yeah, I've been using a Q-tip, or outdoors if I'm away from anything that's going to get splashed. I've used like an old toothbrush or my wife's toothbrush if I don't have an old one.
Oh boy, somebody's asking for it. Okay.
Nice white teeth. No coffee stains there.
That's okay. There was one of the first places I worked at it was called Fault Finders. They made in-circuit component testers. So you had like this vacuum fixture that would, get sucked down to a bunch of pogo pins, and it would, test and isolate and test all the components on the board pretty quickly. So it was like for production runs of stuff, but that was in the through-hole day, so not surface mount stuff. Anyway, so they had I thought they called it a vapor degreaser, and one of the guys accidentally got some oil on his good winter coat. So one of the guys that worked in the board fab area said, "Oh yeah, give me your coat. I'll just stick it in the degreaser and it'll take that right out." And it did. It was amazing. You couldn't tell that there was anything there, but I don't know if I'd want to have that next to my skin after. I don't know if it was similar to what they were using for dry cleaning. It might have been, but
yeah, the EPA solvents that they were taking were the ones that are being used for dry cleaning. They're replacing all of those.
Oh, okay.
You key to memory while I was going through it. So,
yeah. Don't know if there were ill effects from wearing a coat that went into a degreaser, but yeah, it had it actually heated the solvent, and then it had a refrigerant ring on the top. So if the vapors would rise up, they come close to that ring and condense. So I guess it was a way to keep it from going up in the air and stuff. And they were a little concerned, and the way it all happened, it was really, I think the solvent level got too low in the thing, and it got too hot and started burning. And the guy that was, in that area using it got dizzy and pretty much passed out or fainted out, and one of the managers was taking him outside to get him some fresh air, and probably had him sign a release form saying, "You're not going to hold us liable for this, are you?" So,
they use all sorts of weird chemicals in industry. It's if you ever look at how saran wrap is made, or plastic wrap. Let's not get into any specific names.
Brand names, yeah.
It's the chemicals they use to make the cling plastic are phenomenal. They're
Lovely.
sealed, sealed vapor boxes, and nobody can go near it. And
yeah, later on, one of the memory module facilities that Hitachi had here in the Dallas, actually in Irving, Texas, what they were using to clean the boards off with was citric acid. and you went back there and it, smelled like, fresh oranges or orange juice or, so I'm assuming it was, chemically very similar to, what you get in, oranges or lemons or whatever, the naturally produced citric acid. So they said it was actually a pretty good solvent. So
That's what they use to descale coffee makers.
oh, citric acid.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yep.
it's a solution. It's not pure citric acid, but it's citric acid at some diluted value.
Oh, fun with chemistry, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Does anyone have any robot related stuff?
Nope. I'm just
I think, yeah. I think people are still in the holiday / post competition. So
I'm tracking all my purchases. It's like, the commercial with the dots on the GPS map, your logistics, it's like, okay, that one's moved from New Jersey to El Paso.
yeah. Yeah.
Tom looks like he's on a buying spree.
Yeah.
Well, if
I
don't
do
keep
have some
track of them,
questions.
I'll miss the window, right?
Yep.
For claiming a refund.
Yeah.
I have a question to the club. Doug and other guys involved in contests. I know we've been talking about having a follow-up contest at some point, and a friendly version, I believe it was, of, I don't know if it's RoboColumbus or what, but I was wondering, are we also going to be doing a contest in, I think we did one in May
Yeah.
last year?
Yes, there will be a Roborama in May.
All the indoor stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure what contest we're going to do. I know one that's going to probably make it is there and back, because we want to have the non-wheeled there and back. That was a lot of fun. That'll be one for sure. We'll probably have a 6-can, because that's a chance for people to check out some of their outdoor stuff, because it's kind of the same thing. So we'll have that. But I'd like to mix it up a little bit. We've had the same pretty much contest for the last 3 or 4 years, I think. So it'd be nice to maybe bring something a little new or get some people. The problem bringing in a new contest is you got to have people play, that are willing to build to do the contest. It's here's an example of one we could run. We've run it before. We could do a donkey car. If you guys if somebody wants to play around with the donkey car software and see about getting that to run, that's we've had it worked out really well. We put the course all in the room, and it just worked really nice. But anyway, it's one of those things. The problem with that sort of stuff is you have to train your model on the day of the contest, and you usually have to gather your information on the day of the contest, because donkey card kind of depends on learning the course. So that makes it a long poll in the day.
Yep. Have you heard any updates to Donkey Car? I know they did one after.
Oh yeah, I haven't been following them that much, but from the last time we ran it, they now have they have done some where they see cars that they're running against. So there's multiple cars being run against, and they've found ways to steer around cars. And that's one thing. Some of it is obstacle avoidance, to be quite honest. You know, they also have, I think, have a branch now, or that handles differential robots. People ran differential robots before, but they didn't really have an official branch, but now they have an official branch. And I believe also the problem with it now is they kind of got to this point where they want you to buy their board or some of their product, where before it was pretty much, you know, you buy I want to say Raspberry Pi, and that's all. That and a camera was all you really needed. That, and well, it also had that, you know, that servo driver that I was telling you about earlier. They had that, so it was a very simple hardware. You know, Raspberry Pi, 16-channel servo, and a camera, and you just had to run TensorFlow. You know, had to collect the data and run TensorFlow on it, and get your model, and then put it on the floor. In actuality, what we learned, and I'm sure they know this too, but you don't really learn to stay between the lines per se. You do stay between the lines, but what you do is when you're training it, you actually learn the room. So when you learn the room, that's why you have to redo it every time, you know. But it's a good exercise. It's an interesting contest. But I don't know if you could, you know, I don't know how intense and how much effort it would take now. It wasn't horrible before, but I don't know now. It might, you know, that's been a couple of years. So, in AI, everything changes so fast. So, but there's other content. We used to have one that was I really liked, but it was complicated. Was a tabletop. So on tabletop, you start off with a table in its purest form from the Homebrew Robotics Club's version of the test. You took your robot and you had to drive to the end of the table, and something had to stick over the end of the table, and you had to drive back. Then they had a box located, and I don't remember exactly where the box was located. You had to drive to the box and knock a can into the box. And then the third one was you just had to the second one was you had to knock a can off the table. So the first one was drive to the end, come back. Second one was to knock a can off the table. And the third case was to knock a can into a specific location on the edge of the box, edge of the table. And we went ahead and created our own version, which is harder. And you can read the rules if you're interested. But it was, even in as simple as fun, it was a nice little thing, because, you know, it's a matter of being cool, okay? If you had, you know, really sure of your robot, you just sit there and let it run. But, you know, it goes to the edge and hangs over the edge. A little bit of miscalculation there, or a drop sensor that didn't work, and poop, you know, over, you know. I had one robot when I was first starting out that, you know, I made.
Froze again.
Yep.
It's a vortex over by Richardson. Arctic vortex.
Something happened to all the data out there.
Somebody's messing with the fiber optics line or something.
Just need to clean it up a bit.
There you go. That's Get a
So
can of
where-
this.
Where I was going with the question about the competitions is I would like to try to, if we could, firm up some dates and see what we can do for competitions. Some of you guys are even though you're relatively spread out in the Dallas area, you're relatively way closer than we are here in Canada.
Yeah, I mean,
It would,
it sounds like, Dallas to Houston maybe is the spread for you guys.
Dallas to Houston?
4 to 5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about that. 6 hours.
That was
Tom's
that
house.
month.
So, but it would be nice if we're going to gyms. It's a little farther. I'll be towards Jim's area later into summer next year. I'm going to head back out west to see the kids.
Yeah. Somebody asked earlier, I think it was Mickey, about John. Have you guys been in contact with John?
Not very much. I know that John decided to spend a little less time on robotics and a little more time with his family.
Oh,
So you still see him on Discord once in a while, but overall, I think he's taking care of his priorities. There's Doug. Doug, you're muted.
Okay, I'm back.
You were
Where did I-
talking about your robot just going over the edge of the table.
Oh, okay, yeah. So by the time the end of the contest, which was 3 runs, it still looks like I'm frozen again. Can you
You're
guys
not
hear?
frozen.
I'm
no,
not frozen.
yeah.
You're okay here.
Okay, well, anyway, they ended up with about half of it being acrylic and the rest of it being fiberboard or masonite. It was, especially so not only do you not want to build something out of acrylic because it breaks and cracks, but you definitely don't want to be driving it where it's going to fall off the table occasionally. So and you're sitting there. So like I say, you can, some people would go around the table like going, oh my God, it's going to come off the edge. Well, that's uncool. So, you have to have you have to be able to sit there and be, confident enough that it's going to take care of itself. It's kind of cool. It's a fun robot, and we haven't done line following in a while either. Carl, it's still. Am I frozen again?
No, you're good. You're good.
What's going on here? I think I've got a bad fan, probably on my power supply.
We thought you should clean your connections a bit there.
I think I need more than that.
There's a
I'm
commercial
running-
right
The computer I'm running on is a 2007, so it might need some updating. Anyway, that was so I would but there's lots of contests that we've run in the past that if people were interested. So why don't you get everybody take a look at the contest rules and see if there's anything there that catches their fancy.
Yeah, we
I
haven't done a can in a while.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I don't know. How about you, Ray? You're one of the big 6-can. Do you feel you want to go can, or would you rather stay with 6 cans?
I don't know. I think my latest platform is turned into a little bit of a delicate flower now. It's like you run into something and something bends or falls off or breaks or.
Yeah. Well, we'll do 6 cans again because, nobody's knocked Scott off his pedestal yet. So
I'd like to do the 6-can again. I'd like to do the not the sample retrieval, but the there and back.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. We always try to do that. So that's about the lowest bar one can get, and it allows everybody a chance to get into it. And And
But I'd like to do is,
on wheel one added a whole nother dimension to it.
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to do the line following.
The line following? Okay.
So
There's three
because they-
levels. Which one do you want to do? Take a look at it.
well, I'd like to do so if we got to get a set up a course.
Okay.
So we'd have to get one printed. I looked at getting them printed in Canada, and they're expensive.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it's how much it would be to print, the advanced course.
Well, if you can get, before we had printed ones,
Yeah.
what we did is we used 12 by 12 linoleum tiles. They're
Yes.
fragile, but we would put, we'd get the white, the basic, what is the one that you would buy if you were putting it in a hospital? I mean, just the kind of
White linoleum.
speckly white or speckly gray. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And we would use black electrical tape to make 90-degree turns, which is really simple, and straight across, and then a cross piece, and then one that has 90-degree curves opposed from each other. You can look at the course and you can see which pieces you would need, because the course is still laid out in blocks.
Okay.
Okay. So you don't, if you're just going to do a quickie course, that's might be cheaper. It depends on if you can buy those tiles without buying a whole box of them.
Well, that's the thing. So if you have to lay them out in a rectangle, 8 feet by 8 feet, or a square 8 feet by 8 feet, or whatever,
Yeah.
then it's going to become quite expensive to try to lay it all out.
Yeah. Well,
Because
you got to remember, you don't need them where you don't have course.
true.
Okay. And anyway, what about getting it printed at a something like a Ginkgo's? I don't know what they, like a print shop. Sometimes they have paper, just paper,
Okay.
usually for drafting. You might be able to get it printed on something like that for cheaper. I don't know. It wouldn't be as robust, obviously, but you guys are only going to use it for 1 hour or something.
Yeah. So we'd have to take a look, see what we can do to come up with a course. I'd like to do it because I could repurpose a robot. Essentially the same robot I use for 6-can, I could be using for line following.
Yeah, well, line following is fun to do. If there's two different things that you want to do. If you just want to do line following, just like when I did it at first, I just wanted to see if I could follow a line. All right. And so there's certain things that you learn. Like, for example, since you're going to be turning kind of sharply with not a whole lot of foreknowledge, do you know what I'm trying to say? You're not really looking down the course very far. You need something generally light. And you also need, if you're using the standard course, which has 6-inch radius circles in it, I mean, that's the tightest curve, is a 6-inch circle. You need something that has a wheelbase less than 6 inches. Because if you're exactly at 6 inches, when you're going around the curve, one wheel has to be stopped, and you have to steer like a compass. So that's kind of slow. Okay, so if you're less than that, both wheels can keep pushing you, just at different speeds. If you're over 6 inches, then it gets a little weird. You can do it, but it's one wheel has to turn backwards while the other one goes forward.
Oh yeah, to make it to rotate.
Yeah, and so that one is so one of the things is you have to have the wheelbase of less than 6 inches, having low inertia is great because that means light robots. The lighter you are, the better you are. You don't need a whole lot of power, but speed is important. And usually those are PD. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at a real, like if you look at a commercial line following robot, which by the rules is not allowed, but the good one is the Pololo iBot.
Anyway, yeah, two batteries on the bottom, 7-point, lithium ion batteries. This one was actually an Uno with a motor driver on it.
Yeah.
And a camera in the front, which is off of it now. But
Yeah. So here's an example
Could be nice.
of a commercial one. Okay.
So commercial ones are not allowed, you said?
They're not, no kits.
That's like a 3 pi, right?
That's a 3 pi, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
You mean in the mechanics, Doug, or like if you used a kit and your own custom software on top, would that be okay?
you'd have to look at the rules. I can't remember what the rules were. That was something that we considered for sure. The problem is this 3 pi is pretty damn good little robot. And if you allow these into, anybody with whatever it costs to buy one of these things could win. That's why that cut out true beginners. People.
Yeah, that's understandable for the basic
People
course.
who are really trying to learn. Okay, I got 2 sensors. I got 5 sensors. I got 8 sensors. What's the advantages? What's the disadvantages? The one that I use in demos, since I don't.
Anyway, this guy had feedback on the front, the 2 encoders on the 2 motors.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty small.
Yeah. So here's my last one, and you can see it has a lot of features. It has the same type of motors as the other one, though everything else is different. And this is actually a modified sensor from Pololu. They come in 8. I think they're what used to be their biggest. They got more now, but so this one is actually 2 sensors that have been spliced together to make it a little wider to give more. You could be more off and still recover. Anyway, we use this when we go to things like Moon Day and let it run all day. And we just, put it in there. And it's always good to know because this one has a visual indicator that shows you which sensors are in which state. And so it's really great for demos because kids can see it and say, oh, look, how it's doing. But line following is fun. And if you haven't done a line follower, I would definitely say that's something you should try. Even if you just take a piece of tag board, like what is it, 2x3 or 3x3 tag board, whatever, poster board,
Okay, postboard, yeah.
Yeah, and just take a magic marker, make a pet course on it, and put your line follower on it. If you want to get fancy, you can use electrical tape, but you don't have to. Magic marker works.
Pat, you got another option too, Pat. If you're curious for just a software exercise, at the first year of COVID or so, we did the virtual line following.
Yeah, I remember doing that that you guys did that as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was in Java, right?
Process. Yeah, Java.
Well, I think,
Yeah.
I think part of it is in Java. Yeah.
Yeah, no, our robot agents, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
processing runs Java.
Yeah. Okay. And that's good then. And you can, but you can, I mean, that's up there on the
On
DPRG.
the GitHub. Yeah.
And that is really, you don't need, I mean, the controller that is in the demo robot, which is, I want to say it's a PD controller, which is perfect. You know, you don't really need to worry about the PID loop. You can use the default PID loop, but you can figure out how to, you have complete control over where you put your sensors. So you can come up with these really crazy ass sensor arrays. And in fact, that's what
A bunch of us did. I
who?
mean, a bunch of us, several of us had some really unusual, you know, probably very difficult to impossible to make in real world. But we
Yeah.
had some crazy sensor concepts and how to use them.
Well, Ray, no, Carl, you could do that in a camera.
Well, yeah. If you had
Yeah.
downward facing camera, you could.
Yeah. So I'm going to say you could, and I think that's what his idea was that by giving you that creativity, you could just create regions in a camera to act as sensors. You know, because all you're trying to do is black and white. So you could have half black, half white. You know, you have to make a decision. But
There's a good way to think through different architectures and algorithms and work on coding, just basic coding stuff.
Yep.
And it's free, right? So it's
yeah, you don't even need a course or anything.
Yeah.
And and if you're really crazy about the Huffy lens, you know, which if you want to try to do it with AI, Huffy lens, or I shouldn't say that, whatever they call CV, OpenCV. Yeah.
OpenCV. Yeah.
Yeah, OpenCV, Huffy lens can be a line follower. So I was able to make it work. You know, I don't think it would have been competitive. It wouldn't have beat this guy, but it you know, it definitely followed a line better than, say, a beginner robot. I mean, when I say beginner, I'm talking about, we had kids that would run in line following. They would only have 2 sensors. So, or some of them, I think, only had 1, but I think most of them had 2. So the line had to be had to follow. So their robots had this characteristic zigzag as they were, you know, bouncing off each sensor on each side.
Yeah, like a bang bang controller, basically.
Right, exactly. Because most of those were Lego builds, and in fact, I think they were all Lego builds, and so that made them slow. Some of them painfully slow, but you know, they did work. You know, at least on the basic class. We also have an advanced line following, which has a whole bunch of, it's argumentatively whether or not they're line following elements or they kind of stretch the definition of line following. And then we go even crazier with the challenge course, which
All kinds of stuff. Shaded areas,
that's
different line widths.
Yeah, that was an attempt to originated as an attempt to mimic the Carnegie Mellon freshman sidewalk line following contest that they do every year. So they would do that in the spring. So, you know, they'd have all that frost damage from the concrete, you know, being salted all winter. And so it was really nasty, have stains and stuff. And it was outdoor sidewalk. So, you know, there's cracks and all sorts of
Like running in Tom's driveway.
Yeah, right. Maybe not quite that bad, but you know, it was sort of like that.
We can't hear you, Tom. You were muted.
We're going to say that worked okay.
It worked well, actually.
I was going to say, Pat, do you have a doctor's appointment coming up soon, or of any kind? You know
I
that,
haven't.
that roll of white paper that they pull over the exam table? Just
I've got a roll of
take a
that,
few. Yeah,
about 30, 40 inches wide.
yeah.
So
There you
Yeah.
go.
So two
That
sheets of
big
that.
magic marker.
Yeah, 2 sheets of that. And if you, like
Yep.
I said, if you want to get, just put a piece of tape down the middle of it and go to it. And like I say, if you really wanted to get fancy, you could mark it off in 12-inch 12, and you could use electrical tape. It's really easy to do things with electrical tape for the course, because it's either a straight line or a 90-degree circle.
okay. Well, I know those tiles usually you can pick them up for 99 cents a tile or something here.
Yeah. I mean, it's whatever, but yeah, we can actually do that. We might, what we might do to throw a twist into it is have non-wheeled line following.
There's a way to add some time to a contest.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, it might actually be easier if you could figure out how to just sense the line. The reason why, because the problem that I had, that everybody, I think some people solved it better than I did, but the problem with the non-wheeled robot was gauging how far you went. Direction wasn't a problem. You could make it do things with direction, but you couldn't make it you couldn't say, well, okay, this gate he went 5 inches, the next gate he went 3 inches, the next gate he went 7 inches. At least I didn't see anything. So what a good what do they call that thing that looks at the ground? Surface, Carl, help me out.
The optical flow sensors.
Yeah, an optical flow sensor might really work. And I don't know, I don't know if the Pi Dog has an optical sensor. No, I don't think it does.
That I know of, no.
No, but you could, it's something that possible. Yeah, I like that idea. I'm gonna have to write that one down.
As you think of these, as you discuss these possible contests, I keep thinking about, well, what have I got in my junk pile that might be worth competing with? So this is nothing but wheels and beautiful differential device. Eh? If I got really handy, I could make it self-balancing.
One wheel. There you go.
Yep.
So that's it for me. I was just trying to say, okay, well, let's, if we can at some point here, nail down some contests and see if we can get participants everywhere and put some dates.
We also talked about possibly doing a midterm RoboColumbus, but that'd probably be in June, which is also an optimal travel month. So I don't know. What is it like? What is the weather? When does your winter end up there? Is it March or April?
We have 4 seasons here. There's winter, still winter, summer, and almost winter.
Yeah, I see. Okay. That's sort of like they have in Vermont. They have fall, winter, spring, and July.
Oh, we've had snow once so far. Pat, have you got snow on the ground now?
Well, we got a foot of snow on the ground.
Okay. I've had a little bit, but it only lasted a day.
Yeah,
Oh no,
we're just
we've got our start.
our cold weather. You can see I've got a sweatshirt and a hat on. It's
I'm wearing a t-shirt.
it's 50 degrees here. We're freaking out. So anyway.
So I got a seed for another contest. So maybe I'll plant it this week, and then we can discuss with the wider group. But somebody mentioned Acriman steering, And something that has been on my mind for the last month or two has been, how about a contest where you have a Acriman steering robot that has to do parallel parking? And then, if that's not complicated enough, how about an Acriman robot with a trailer, a tractor trailer, and the tractor trailer has to do parallel parking? So backing up the tractor trailer with an Acriman steering robot. That's the seed I'm planting. I'm going to show a simulation one of these meetings here. But that's
I'll
just
put it down.
That might be a contest of one, Carl.
Well, I didn't want to. I either didn't want to suggest it if I wasn't up for trying it, and I'm not up for trying it, or if I thought there was somebody I could convince that was just crazy enough to try it.
Yeah,
So I could vicariously watch.
we like the idea where we might have a contest that requires you to use an acronym.
Yeah.
That might be nice. That would really put say a 6-can
Yeah,
Well,
that's what I was thinking. Something in a confined space.
that you'd only use Acriman.
There you go.
That would force some new thought. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, shake it up a bit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I don't want anything that's just a contest of one. You know?
No.
But that's easy to add to an existing contest. You've got your layout, everything is already there.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, well, we're doing walking robots for 6-can. We're doing wheeled robots. We're doing Acriman steered robots for 6-can.
Mm-hmm. There's there was some interesting contest rules that I found on the web in the past. I'd have to look through them that other clubs did as their typical contest, and I have to look at those. Maybe there might be an idea in there. Some of them were, most of them were pretty simple. The one that I don't think we're ready for, and I think it would take a lot of prep, is the one that's done in Seattle, where they have something like the 6-can arena, except it's bigger, and they have 2 rooms with a little join, and one has some chairs and a table in it, and the other one has a refrigerator, a little, like under cabinet refrigerator. And so you're supposed to pick up a soda can, drive it over to the refrigerator, I guess open the door, put the can inside the refrigerator and close the door, and then return, I believe. Or, excuse me, no, take that back. I think you have to go open it up, get something out of the refrigerator, close the door, and then bring the thing that you got, the Coke can you got out of there, and bring it and put it on the table.
That would make a lot more sense as the adult beverage fetch versus the stock boy fill.
Yeah. Definitely. Why you have robots? Everybody, it's to bring you a beer.
Bring you a beer.
Everybody wants to build a robot to bring them a beer.
Yeah. So I mean, you ask a person, well, what does your robot do? If you really want to make somebody impressed, you say, well, it goes to the refrigerator and brings me a beer. I mean, you definitely will have an impressed audience. So they actually made that a contest out there in Seattle. Be interesting. I would like to see that someday. But I
don't know if they've posted any videos of it. It would be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you, Pat. I don't know why they don't post that many videos. I don't know if it's just the logistics, because they usually do it with a fairly big, sort of like an event where people, sort of like a Moon Day event, except it's just them. And so they have a pretty big crowd, and it could be real taxing on the club to provide just people to monitor the different contests. I don't know. So it'd be cool to ask them. Or maybe they have a secret stash that we've never found, you know?
Could be. So
Yeah.
I don't know if Donna watches the videos. Donna, if you're watching, if you have a video out there, let us know.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be fun. I'd love to see the refrigerator run one to see what, you know, where the people ran, where did they run into troubles and stuff.
Ed mentions the Trinity University firefighter contest.
I want to say
That's another interesting one. That's
Where you
that's
blow out a candle or flame of some sort.
and
Yeah.
and I want to say that we've had people. Who's the gentleman in Connecticut?
Chris Snetter.
Yeah,
Chris Snetter.
Chris is
Yeah.
actually running one of those. I don't know if it was Trinity's, but he's running. He ran and won some similar competition.
There's 4 guys from the Ottawa area who historically have entered in the Trinity contest
Yeah.
over a number of years. And talking to Norm a few months ago, he says the Trinity College firefighting competition is no more. So he says it never picked up again after COVID.
okay. I know the Seattle group. I believe they still do one.
Do they?
I thought they did, but maybe I'm wrong.
It might be that the one that's done in San Francisco, Robo something. It's a big one. It's got like 1,000. You know, it's got almost every contest you can think of, and I don't know. It could be done there. I want to say that there was one of those in the past in DPRG, but I don't have any video evidence of it other than just seems like I saw it somewhere in the messages that we have message archives and stuff you could go through. But I don't know. That might be fun. But that one's definitely not a simple one. All of those maze ones are more complex. The setup and everything, you know.
Yeah. It's a big course too. I think it's 10 feet by 10 feet.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tom, you said they died?
Muted.
You're muted, Tom.
Yeah, that's what Norm told me a few months ago when I asked him how he was doing. I've seen his and the other guys' robots. They continue to work on them simply because it's the major investment in a robot that they have. So, and they have 2 full-size mazes of their own in the Ottawa area that they use for their local competitions amongst themselves.
Yeah.
It's very complicated. It's very difficult to be successful at it, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
They run into problems like trying to figure out how to blow the flame out without blowing the candle over.
Yeah.
It's like the cone problem, right? You don't want your robot to knock the cone over.
Mhm.
So you're just supposed to put out the flame, and that's all.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, things to think about. The only one I'm really scared of is the tabletop. You know where your first run is your last run?
That
That's
could
not going to be a killer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could back it down to the basic contest, but that doesn't mean that the drop from 3 feet is any shorter. You know what I mean? Or 24 inches or whatever a tabletop is.
So I personally, I think like a 6 can, a there and back, and a 6 can, a there and back, and the line following would be
Okay.
something to push for.
Okay.
And that would be, like I say, if we could do that in June, May, June.
Yeah, that'd be good. And yeah, like I say, I like the idea of maybe forcing something to Acriman and also forcing something to non-wheeled. That's, you know.
Here's an idea: line following with Acriman steering.
Oh, you're talking. No, that's with the challenge course. Oh yeah, baby.
With the
Especially
challenge
on that
course.
6-inch corner.
So where you're going to have to straighten back out to make it around corners and stuff like that.
Oh, and some backups probably.
I don't know. I don't know if it would really hurt on line following. The nice thing about differential and line following is that you can turn faster.
So
So
if you had a size limitation for Acriman steering, so it had to be a certain size vehicle, not small.
yeah,
So now you're forcing some constraints into your turn radius and stuff like that.
right. Forcing them to drift. As they went around. Okay.
I still want to do a real world version of the Mecanum challenge course follower.
The Mecanum one.
Yeah, because
Actually, I think it would be that might have advantages. You know what I mean?
it has big advantages. That's
yeah.
the model that I did in the virtual one. I want to make a real world version of it. It looks like a flying saucer, so it'll have a fin. You can tell which way is forward, but as it goes around the course, the way I had it run as fast as possible is it would follow the line. Then when it came into a 90 degree, it would stop and then just go. So it was constantly turning around. I mean, it never had to waste time doing a turn.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I'd love to see somebody to do it too, Carl.
Yeah,
Love to see somebody do that challenge course and actually nail it.
as soon as I get my TARDIS going, then I can, have the time. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, guys, are we done?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Fading fast. I'm pooped.
Okay, folks, good night.
Yeah. Nice chatting with you. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
All right.